In this presentation, we'll be going over cross-generational business interactions and how they've changed the work environment in the last 5 to 10 years. So we came to the assertion that all generations have biases towards one another, if they're new generations or older generations. We believe that all generations have to learn to understand the values of each other in order to market correctly to their audience for a successful business. And we also come to the belief that the technology revolution has changed in the last 5 to 10 years has drastically changed the environment of the way people do work, and I believe that has to do with newer generations bringing in this new idea of how to conduct business. Baby boomers, we'll start with, were the largest generation with 74.1 million until they were surpassed by millennials. The oldest members of this generation began to hit their retirement age of 65 back in 2011. And since then, about 10,000 baby boomers retire each day. And I can attest to that. My father is a baby boomer, and he'll be looking at retirement here in the next 2 to 3 years. But he's also a dying breed of the baby boomers, being able to pay into a pension and a 401k, which you don't see that much more anymore. A lot of the values of the baby boomers lived during a time of major social change. Following the end of World War II, the United States experienced much more political and economic stability. But they also learned a lot of distrust in the government and authority, but strive for a belief in equal rights and strive for personal growth and gratification. Their jobs are extremely important to them. They live to work, and my dad's one of the hardest working people I know, and he's definitely an optimist, and he's got some unique ideas on how to change things, or especially with politics. Very hard work ethic. Baby boomers are considered workaholics. Their success was generally defined by their personal accomplishments. Very hard-working and ambitious and loyal. Generation X, the first generation that will not do as good as their parents financially. There are approximately 88.5 million members who belong to Generation X. Some historical events. Moms were forced to work because of their spouse being at war. Part of the end of the Cold War, first generation latchkey kids, dual income families, which were caused latchkey kids. Millennials. In 2016, millennials surpassed all other generations as the largest portion of the workforce. And as of 2017, as 56 million members of the workforce were born between 1981 and 1996. They were children during the September 11th attacks, war in Afghanistan, had to deal with the 2008 recession, and raised during the rise of the internet boom, and all the rise of digital apps and kind of the way we do business nowadays. And a study done by a company called Qualtrics here in Utah, they say millennial values can be both contradictory and oddly pragmatic, and millennials value accomplishment over time logged, inclusion over exclusion, and this little bit, yoga pants over jeans, not literally, and sometimes pets over kids. And I thought that was an interesting statement. I don't know what about that last little bit, if that's supposed to be some joke pointed out at millennials, ha ha ha. An article by Forbes states, on average, millennials would be willing to give up $7,600 a year in salary to work at a job that provides a better work environment for them. That's a significant departure for generations past, who typically value salaries as one of the most important factors in choosing a job. We move on to Alpha generation, otherwise known as children of millennials. These are toddlers and babies, people who haven't been born yet, the next generation of individuals that will be entering the workforce following millennials. They're expected to be the longest living and wealthiest and most formally educated generation ever, and I can believe it, especially as much as technology has changed in the last 5 to 10 years. And born the same year Instagram and iPad launched, which is pretty crazy to actually think about. And it's complicated to judge the values and work ethics of how these these kids and individuals who will be joining the workforce will be. But I feel pretty optimistic about it being very well. Millennials, I believe, kind of helped guide this way of a way we should do work, and I believe alphas will help grow into that idea. And with this one quote here with Vice President of Full Screen Media, Crystal Certainty shares studies that found alphas watching content with their parents prefer to watch 8 minutes longer than those from Gen X, meaning their attention spans are showing more promise. And they are growing in lucrative consumer market. And there's our sources. And thanks for watching.